Well, good evening. It is 6 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Brendan Gartner. I'm the Chief of Operations for Onslow County Schools. We're here to talk about the redistricting that we'll be doing, the attendance zone realignment because of the opening of Woodland Elementary School. What I have is about a 10-minute or less presentation. This is really more about the public and getting your input and your feedback that we can share with the board before they make any final decisions on the attendance zones. So what you see tonight is proposed. None of this is locked in stone. I can tell you that a lot of people think, no, it's not just lip service, that we've made changes to maps before based on public comments. So your feedback is really important in this process. It really is. Will be plenty of time at the end for you to ask questions or anything like that. There's the table if you want to leave written comments that'll also be shared with the board. This is all being recorded. It will be made public. The board will be able to watch it and take all these comments into consideration before they make final decisions at the next board meeting. So Woodland Elementary up on Swansboro Belgrade Road is scheduled to open for the 25-26 school year. It is under construction right now if you've had a chance to drive by it. That addition, that means we're going to have to create an attendance zone for those students. And that's going to affect 4 different schools, one of which is Swansboro Elementary School. Queens Creek, Silverdale, and Morton are also going to be affected by that. 2 things that are extremely important that I need you to understand. That one, and this has been a point of contention, something I've been able to help some people with, is your middle and high school does not change. This is strictly elementary school. You're all here because you're in the Swansboro district. You are scheduled to go to Swansboro High School, Swansboro Middle School. That's not going to change at all. Okay, that is not part of this. This is strictly an elementary school realignment. It's going to allow us to address overcapacity issues or some capacity issues at other schools. Swansboro Elementary itself right now is not over capacity. We're at about 94% capacity, which is close, but you're familiar with the school is extremely small. The footprint of the school itself is one of the smallest we have. It is what we will call built out. There is no room for additions here at Swansboro Elementary. There's not even room for another trailer. So what we have is what we get as far as operational capacity is concerned. So we wanted to be the most reasonable that we can. We want to be as responsible as we can. And when there's an opportunity to relieve some capacity issues by using seats in other districts, that is something that we want to do. Building schools is something obviously that we're doing moving forward. We have great partners with the county that realize the construction that has to go on, but we also want to be responsible stewards with the public money. And so if we can make space by doing this, this is something that we want to work on. So the redistricting process in and of itself, basically I go to the board and I said, look, we have a new school. We're going to need new attendance zones. And so I need some permission to move forward with this. And the board granted that permission. And we work with NC State. And they're the ones who help draw these maps. They do all our population projections and things like that. We work with the county as far as where new developments are coming and things like that. We look at student population forecasts, which we have them redone every year, and they go out 10 years. So, and they've been surprisingly, they've been very, very, very accurate within just a few hundred every year. We look at local growth data, what's happening in the area, what new subdivisions are going up, what new businesses, what new areas of housing are being built. We look at transportation, and we'll talk a little bit about that when I show you the existing maps as far as some of our students and travel times and things like that for our buses. Facility capacity, how many students can the schools around here actually hold? Once that happens, once we get that, we get the map back from NC State, an original map. We share that with our transportation department. Our transportation department are the ones who get the first look at the map, and they make some suggestions for changes as far as where might be better lines for efficiency and travel time. Where NC State might not have all that, they might not know where all the turnarounds are, all the bus routes that wind through neighborhoods that make routes longer than you would think. Once that happens, I go to the board and I say, I have the map, but I'd like to take this to the public, get some comments, and that's why we're here this evening. This was a map up front, and I'm going to blow it up a little bit quicker. These are the new proposed attendance lines, and what is here in yellow is Swansboro. And when we take a look at a detail, and I didn't include the whole Swansboro district because I wanted you to be able to see, I wanted you to see where the changes are going to be. And so what we have here, everything, this right now is currently, in this red line and below, all this is currently Swansboro Elementary School. So yes, we have students that can see Silverdale Elementary from their house, but they have to come to Swansboro Elementary School because of the population that's at Silverdale, which is actually 122% of their capacity. If you go back, that's because Silverdale takes them all the way up by Maysville, up on White Oak River Road and everything. So that's why the lines have been drawn as they are. What is in yellow is the new proposed line for Swansboro Elementary, everything that in south. So what has changed is along Parkertown Road, down here Lee Rogers Road, Trailwood, that area, and part of Peyton's Ridge right here will be going to Silverdale, and below that would be going to Swansboro Elementary School. Once I get public comment, we take this to the board, and they do for their consideration for approving these for 25 and 26. So again, I can't stress this enough. It's not for next year. It's for 25, 26. It's a couple years down the road. So by doing this realignment currently, like I said, Swansboro Elementary is at 94% of their capacity. By doing these changes in this, it's going to reduce the capacity to 84%, which is going to leave room for additional growth. A great example of that is Peyton's Lake. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's part of Peyton's Ridge that'll be going up. And it's going to be about 200 homes, and they're all coming here. So that's going to leave room for that kind of growth. And again, I just want to make sure you understand Midland High School doesn't change, and this won't be to the 25-26 school year. And now the floor is yours. I'd love to hear comments, questions that I can answer for you, information that we can make sure gets back to the board so they can help them make a more informed decision. Yes, sir.
What about students that have like IEPs
That
might be better suited to be here than being moved?
So that would be an IEP team decision. So if the IEP team decided that they are better served here because of whatever facilities they may have, for example, and I'm not familiar with all the programs here at Swansboro Elementary School, but there's a hearing impaired program, or visually impaired program, at Jacksonville Commons Elementary School. So if there was a redistricting there, they might say, no, they're better off staying here because that's the services they need. So again, that's an IEP team decision.
Okay, so that's more like an individual.
Yeah, then that's the nature of the IEP, is it's individual, based on the individual student. But thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple questions. I guess first, you just mentioned that a new place is being built and, that they're going to come here.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you put them at a new school instead of switching the students that are already coming here?
Okay, fair question. First, it's not been built yet. So it's where it's planned to be. And when we go back to that map, it's down in this area that's going to be included in the Swansboro district when it goes up.
Okay. And then my second question, when we first moved here, I lived in the Swansboro district, and then we switched to what I thought we were buying in the Swansboro district, and found out we weren't.
Okay.
And so I specifically moved back to the house that was in the Swansboro district because that's where I want to be. I'm a single mom with 5 kids. And so I have children in the middle school, I have children in the high school, and in that year I'll still have children in the middle school, children in the high school.
Okay.
So when I pick up my children, I go from high school to middle school to elementary school, boom, 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 and the same thing with drop-off.
Mm-hmm.
And so when one's in a different town, how am I supposed to navigate that?
Okay. How old is your youngest? What grade?
He's in kindergarten.
He's in kindergarten. Okay. And what area do you live in generally?
I live in the Trailwood.
Okay, so you live in Trailwood out towards Parkertown Road. That's a fair question. Especially for middle school and high school, we do have transportation that students could utilize to get home rather than have you go in 3 different directions. That is one possibility. We have adjusted bus times, so between high school and middle school, there's over an hour and a half time to give, basically that was for efficiency in transportation, but also provides that. I will also say that there is also a process that you can go through where you could apply to remain at a school, where you are not otherwise districted. There is a process for that goes every year that you can apply and say, this is the reason I believe I should be able to stay at this school rather than go to this school. So that's a process you could also do.
With that, then we lose transportation?
If you do out of district, you would lose transportation, yes. But your middle and your high would not be out of district because Swansboro, your district won't change middle school or high school wise.
That's just, I don't I mean, I typically, my kids would ride the bus. Right now, we're out of our house because our house has damage, and I'm having to bring the kids all from Emerald Isle and drop them off and do it all here. And so I know how difficult it is to do the drop-offs. But again, I don't have anyone to help them out.
Have
There are
you,
days where I have to pick them up. There are days where they have to ride the bus. And so I just don't have any ideas how I'll be able to.
okay, could you talk to me after the meeting? Because there's a couple things I think that maybe are on a more personal level that I don't want to share with the group.
Sure.
Have you spoken to Emily Fiegel?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so
She
that was,
won't help me.
okay, that was going to be my question. Okay. Yes, sir.
Could you confirm where Woodward is going to be?
Woodland?
Woodland, yeah.
Yep. So Woodland Elementary is on this map. It's right up here. This is going to be Deppy Road right here. It is about half a mile north of where Deppy meets Belgrade Swansboro. So it's kind of hard to see. I don't really have a close-up. So here's Silverdale and Smith Road. You go about 6 or 7 miles further up Belgrade Swansboro Road. It's where the old soccer complex was, up on Belgrade Swansboro, if you're familiar with that.
Yes. I mean, I understand the purpose and the statistics behind the redistricting effort. Swansboro is going to go down in its attendance,
Yes.
but Silverdale's going to go up.
No, it's going to go down because Silverdale's lines are now going to be changed.
Silverdale sits at the same attendance as Swansboro.
So, okay, and that's where I wanted to, so this red line is currently,
Right, where the district sits now.
so now this pink area will now just be Silverdale's district.
Right.
And this yellow area is going to be Swansboro. You can see kind of this little purple that starts here. This is now going to be the Woodland district, right here. Currently, this purple and this pink, this is all.
So you're trying to average it I'm personally concerned with Silverdale and Swansboro.
Sure.
We right now say Swansboro, based off this redistricting, says
Mm-hmm.
both those attendance records have been similar from the past about 4 years, 5 years that I could find.
Okay.
They'll both go down due to this redistricting.
Yes, they will.
I'm less concerned about the reason behind a redistricting effort based off population, more concerned about how does the Onslow County Education Board plan to address the differences in these schools' performances.
What do you mean?
Statistically, Silverdale has lower performing scores and output than Swansboro has.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, several years ago when we decided to plant roots here, we found the home in the Swansboro district for the specific purpose that Swansboro performs well at the elementary level.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just thinking Silverdale does not perform so well based off of USA News for grade schools, for niche. They all share the same statistics. Silverdale has regularly below average in Onslow County
Sure.
for testing outcomes.
So here's what I would say, and I certainly understand those concerns. You find schools, houses. You find one first. I certainly understand that. Silverdale is currently our most overcapacity school, believe it or not. It's out there in the middle of nowhere. You wouldn't think, but it is.
Right.
It sits at 122%. That can have an enormous effect on scores. This redistricting is going to reduce their capacity to 82%, which is going to allow for smaller class sizes, and which is going to allow for more effective instruction, quite
They sit
frankly.
at the same class size right now as Swansboro.
And no, their class size, well,
17
so
to 1.
primary, yes, because K3 has class size this old, you can't do that. That's legislated.
Right.
4 or 5 schools are going to be much larger. And then you have other things. You have 122% capacity. You're also talking about media center. You're talking about cafeteria. You're talking about those other spaces that are used. They also have new administration. So, what you're basing it on past scores, they have relatively new administration. So there are changes in leadership there, and that's the opportunity to make changes at the instructional level as well.
I've read a lot about the redistricting effort. I've read very little into what
What I would recommend is that if you've been, for 25, 26, if you're moving to Silverdale, I'd recommend calling Mr. Ryan Riegel. He's the principal of Silverdale. And he'd probably be able to share with you more effectively than I can about the instructional programs at Silverdale. I'm sure he'd be very happy to share those with you. And there'll be some outreach as we get closer as well.
Sure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So will there be a grandfather clause kind of thing in for kids that will be in the 5th grade if parents do the transportation like some redistricting has done?
I don't want to say yes, absolutely, but that has been our practice in the past, that the oldest grade, if they choose to stay. Now again, there won't be buses moving between districts, so it would be up to if the parents can get them here. But that, like we just did, Dixon High School, Swansboro High School, or Southwest High School last year, and seniors will be able to stay. We did, the last elementary one we did was for the opening of Clearview Elementary, and for those elementaries that moved to Clearview, those 5th graders were able to stay. So yes, ma'am. That has been our practice. I don't want to sit here and say that's definitely going to happen, but it has been traditional that we've done that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Regarding Peyton's Ridge, because that's like ginormous, and I understand they're building a new part of it. But the current existing Peyton's Ridge,
Yes.
they will be coming to 2 different schools. Is that
There
correct?
is a dividing line in Peyton's Ridge, yes, ma'am. So where that dividing line is, if, kind of off of Parkertown Road, there's kind of a concentration of houses. And then you get past, I believe it's Albacore Court, and there's very few sparse houses, large lots. So there's not going to be a lot of development there, and that's why the dividing line was chosen there, because then once you get past, I believe it's Albemarle Court, you get another big concentration of houses. So that's why the dividing line there was chosen, because like you said, it's a huge area. It's going to be very difficult for any one school to accommodate all those students. So that's why we had to make some tough choices. We really don't want to split neighborhoods where we don't have to. But that's one of those things where it's such a large area, it's still growing, and so we had some tough decisions needed to be made. And we prefer not to do it. I understand it can be disruptive. My best friend lives down, we were going to school, we've been there, but they're still just down the road. We can still hang out after school and everything like that. So, but we know in just a couple of years we'll be back at middle school together. So not something we take lightly at all. We know how tough it can be. This is a military town. It's already transitional. My wife was a military brat. I went, for other reasons, I went to 5 different elementary schools, so I know it can be extremely disruptive for a child. We all do. We're educators. We're here because we care about kids. You know that. And so we don't take these situations lightly, or these decisions lightly. Yes, ma'am.
I have a more Silverdale question. Is
Sure.
Town Point going to be completely in Silverdale District?
Say again?
Town Point?
No. Town Point would be the other one we're looking at. That Town Point is actually going to be larger than Peyton's Ridge. When Town Point is done, it's going to be about 3,000 houses. About 3,000. Town Point's off of Rocky Run Road. It's going to be about 3,000 houses when all is said and done. Basically, we did kind of the same thing there. Rocky Run, the stream itself, is actually the dividing line in Town Point. We'll be talking more about that in Silverdale on Thursday night, because that'll be split between Silverdale and Woodland. Because we've got Town Point, the Rocky Run goes through there, it's wetlands through there, it won't ever be developed, so it makes a natural barrier, and again, kind of divides it into a northern and a southern section. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Do you have any projections on what the potential bus routes and times might be after this redistricting?
That'll come a little bit closer. Next year they'll be focused on getting ready for the 24-25 bus routes.
Sure.
But as you can see over here, it's going to significantly shorten a lot of bus routes. These kids are up here, they're coming all the way from up here down to Swansboro Elementary. So it is going to be shorten a lot of bus routes for a lot of kids. Well, if there's no other questions, I really thank you for coming tonight. If you want to leave some written feedback, please do. Anything else you'd like to share? Any other questions you have? I'll stick around for a little bit and we'll talk to you.